Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today in this tutorial I am going to show you how we can create this custom animated bottom tab bar navigator in React Native by using Expo router. So here you can see we have this custom bottom tab bar and this one is having a floating look. It looks like it is floating on the screen and it has a 3 tabs, and this one is currently active, and the active one has a circular background and it has an icon, and the others have the icon and the label text. Now let's go to another tab. So this is the tab animation, which you can see when we are switching to another tab, that time the circular background is moving, right? And the icon is also having some animation and the label text is gone for the active tab. So this is what we are going to create today in this tutorial, and we are going to use React Native reanimated package to create this animation. So if you are interested in these kinds of tutorial, then hit the like button, subscribe to my channel for more tutorials like this, and don't forget to hit the notification bell icon so that you get notified whenever I post a new tutorial on this channel. So without wasting any more time, let's get started. So here I have created a new project in Expo, and here our app is running. So now with this we have so many files and folders which I do not need, so I'm just deleting those. And for the stack we don't have the not found, and we will have the tabs. Right now it doesn't have, but now I'm going to create that. So let's create tabs, and within it I need to create layout.tsx file, and I will name it as tab layout. And here let's import tabs from Expo router, and I'm just going to use that here. With the tabs I need to create the tab screen, so I'm just quickly creating a tab called index, and let's name it as page, and it will be home screen. And let me provide a style for it: flex 1, justify content center, and align items center, so that the page content will be in center. So let me provide the style here, and now let's save it. And with that it got crashed. Now let me stop the server and run it once again. So with that, here we can see our home screen and we can see our tab. So now I'm going to create 2 more tab. Another one will be explore.tsx, and it will be same as this one, and then the profile, it is the profile screen. And with that we can see we have 3 tabs present here. So we have done our basic setup. Now for these tabs I can customize these labels, so let me do that first. So within these tabs I can specify tab screen, and for the tab screen options I can specify the title, and for the first I need to provide home, and it would be for the index. So the file name I have provided here, so let's save it. And with that, here we can see the label have been updated. So let's copy that. For the explore I will provide it explore, and for the profile I will name it as profile with capital P. And now I want to customize this tab bar, and to customize that we have mainly 2 options. One option is that from tabs screen options we can provide different kind of options to this prop and customize it based on our requirement, which I have done previously many more times in my previous tutorials. But for this one I will take another option, and that is fully customizable. By using the screen options it has some limitations, but this current approach which I will take, this doesn't have any kind of limitation. You can do whatever you want with this approach. And for this let's go to React navigation documentation, and in Expo router also they are using React navigation. So the documentation of React navigation will help us understand the Expo router at its core and to implement all the options available to it in a better way. So let's see here. Here we have different kind of props and all for the bottom tab, and here we can see we have a tab bar prop. So here it is a function that returns a React element to display as the tab bar. So that is what I am going to create today. And here is an example, and let me copy this example. Here we can see this is the tab navigator TabBar prop. So I'm not going to copy this one. I'm just going to copy this custom React element which they have provided the example. So let me copy and let's create a components directory, and within this let's create this TabBar tsx, and here I'm going to paste this, and here let me name it as TabBar and let's export it. And as I am using TypeScript, so I need to provide a type for these props which we are accepting here, and let me import the prop from React navigation bottom tabs, and that prop will be bottom tab bar props. So here let me provide that. So this is the type. Now let's save this one, and for this let's use the tab bar, and this is how we can provide that. Here we are passing the prop to our tab bar, so here it is called tab bar, and let's import that. Now let's save it. Okay, so here we are having an warning currently. Let's get rid of that. Now we can see we have this custom component here, right? The profile, explore, and here we have the home which is not completely visible, but it is there, and it is completely coming from this tab bar, and that we can see by looking at this color. So this is the active color which is in profile tab. If I change it to red, then we can see it is red. So now we can understand that this is the component which is being rendered here, right? So now let's first reload this app, and with this we can see we have this warning. We have this warning for unique key. So we need to provide a unique key for this map function which is being rendered here. So that means this touchable opacity is being rendered under this map function, and for this one we need to provide unique key, and that I can provide by route name which is also providing unique value. So now after saving it, the warning has been gone. Now we can style it. So let's see what we have got. So here first we have this wrapper view, and within this wrapper view we have this touchable opacity. So this touchable opacity are the buttons, and this view is the actual tab bar. So we need to provide some style for it. Let me create the style sheet here, and we need to import style sheet from React Native. Now I can create that, and I will name it as tab bar. So here first I will provide position as absolute, bottom 50, and obviously the flex direction will be row, and here let me change it to tab bar. So here I can see that for justify content, space between, and align items, I will provide center. Let's provide a background color white. For margin horizontal I will provide 80. So this is our tab bar. Now with this I want to provide an icon for each of the tabs. So here let me import feather icon, and for the name I will use home. For the size of it I will use 24, and for the color of it I will use this color. Okay, so this is how it's looking right now. So let me give style for this also. So here I will create a tab bar item, and let's provide flex 1. For justify content I will provide center. For align items I will provide center as well. So now it has been positioned at the center, and let's provide a gap of 5. So now it is looking good. Now let's provide a padding here, and let's provide a border radius 35, and now let's provide a shadow. For the shadow color I will provide black color. Shadow offset height I will use 10, and for the width I have used 0. For shadow radius I will use 10, and for shadow opacity I will use 0.1. So now it is having a good shadow which is making it prominent and gives a floating look. So the design is looking pretty good. Now for each of the items we need to provide different icon, and to do that I need to create a variable, and in that variable I can check the route name, and based on the route name I can provide the icon. So let me cut it from here, and let's create a constant called icon, and here for the index we can return it, and here we can pass the props, and let's provide type of any, and I can pass the props here. Similarly, let's copy it two more time, and here first it will be explore and then it will be for profile. So for the explore I will use compass icon, and for the profile I will use user. So now let's use the icon here. So here pass the route name, and I can pass color. So these are the color. Now save it. So now with the save I can see icon have been changed, and with the icon we have changed the color as well, right? So as we are passing the color, so we don't need the color prop here. It is now looking good. So this is how we can customize the tab bar as we want, and this is completely customizable, right? So we have complete control over it, and with this control now we are going to move ahead and implement the animation to this tab bar. So now I need to move this tab bar button to another component. So here let's create another file called tabbar button.tsx, and here I'm going to copy all these things and paste here, and instead of touchable opacity I will use pressable here, and I don't actually need these things. Also the key is not applicable here, and here let me just comment these things out, and let me import tab bar button, and for the tab bar button I need to provide this key, and after that we will require these things also, on press, on long press, and I will pass few more props to this tab bar button component, and the first one will be is focused. Then I will pass route name, so it will be route.name. Then I will pass color, so here color could be this, and for the label I will provide label, which will be this text, right? For this text we have the label, and for the icon I need to provide the route name here, which we are going to accept here. So this is the list of the prop which we are going to take. So here let's copy these things one by one, and then we have the label. Here for the on press it is a function, for long press also is focused is a boolean, route name is a string, color is a string also, and this label also could be a string. So here instead of route it would be route name, and for the icon also let me create a constant called icon. So here constants I will provide the icon. So from here I can cut it and paste here, and I need to export the icon, and let's import this feather icon, and with that here let's import icon from icon constant, and now I think we are good. Yes, so I need to provide this tab bar item. So now we have completely moved this to a new component, and here I am going to add animation to this icon and the label. So for that first I am going to create a variable called scale, and it will be use shared value, and the value will be 0, and this use shared value is coming from React Native Reanimated, and this React Native Reanimated package is already installed by default with every Expo project. So here we can see it is installed, so that's why we can use this hook. Now for the use effect hook, and this use effect needs to be imported from React, and then here we can do some functionality, and this will happen if the scale value changes or is focused value changes, and we will change the scale value. So initially it is 0, and later we will change it to 1, and that is also with some effect, and that effect I will provide with Spring, which is a animation function from React Native Reanimated, and here we will check if type of is focused is equal to boolean, then it will be this is focused value, and here also we are providing a check, and otherwise it will be is focused. So we are checking if is focused is boolean, then we will have either 1 or 0, otherwise we will have is focused. Whatever it is, it will be there. And with that I will provide a configuration which is a duration, and for the duration I will provide 350 millisecond. So with this duration I will change the value of this scale constant. So now I can provide a animation, and I can create animated text style and provide use animated style hook, and I will change the opacity. So let's create the opacity constant, and here in interpolate function let's check the scale value, and for the input range we will provide 0 to 1, and for the output range it will be 1 to 0. So that means when we have the scale value 0, that time by default the opacity value for the text, for this text is 1, and when the scale value will be 1, that time it will be 0. So that means we will make it hidden. The opacity will be 0, so it will be hidden. So here let's return the opacity, and we can provide that here. So let's provide animated.text, and this animated needs to be imported from React Native reanimated. And now with that I can provide the animated text style here, and here I need to close the animated text. So here we can see we don't have the label text, right? So that's how it's working. We are hiding the text. Now along with that I want to reposition the icon, so that's why I need to wrap it with an animated view so that I can provide an animation to it. So here let's create animated icon style. It will be use animated style, and here let's create scale value, and for the interpolate of it let's provide the value, and let's check for the input range, and for the output range here I will scale it. I will make it little bit bigger. Initially it will be 1, and when the value will be 1, when the animation will be completed, that time it will be 1.2. It will scale to 1.2 value. Now let's return. So provide transform scale. I need to provide scale value, and for this view let's provide animated icon style. Okay, here we need to wrap it with a bracket. So now we can see it is changing its size. So it is changing the scale of it, which we have provided 1.2. So it is getting bigger by 1.2 times of its actual size. And with the size I want to position it little bit down. So from the top I want to provide some margin, and for that let's create another constant called top, and here let's provide scale.value, and let's provide input range. For the output range I will provide 0,9. So initially we don't have anything at the top, but when this animation will be completed, that means it will scale to 1.2 times. That time I will provide 9 pixel at the top. So here after the transform I can provide top. So it will be top. For top property I can provide this top value. So as these are the same, so I can provide it as like this. So now after saving we can see it is now positioned at the middle, right? So now it is looking pretty good. And now I want to change the size of this text. So here let's change the font size 12. So now it is looking much more better in my opinion. So now with this we are done with the 50% of the animation. Now we need to work on the rest of the 50%, which will be the circular background of the active TabBar button. And for that we need to go to this TabBar, and after this wrapper view I need to provide another view which will be responsible for the circular background which will animate. but for that we need to do some setup. So let me do that first and then I will create that view. So first I will create a state called dimensions, and for the dimensions we need to provide height and width, and by default I will provide these values, and these values doesn't mean anything or do anything, rather it's just some initial value, and later on we will change the dimensions by using this set dimension when our layout will be created. Now after this dimension state, let's create button width, and this width will be dimensions width by state.routes.length. So in this state.route.length we will have the number of tabs which is present in our tab. So right now it will be 3. If we will have any other number for the tabs, such as like we will have 4 or 5 or 2, then it will return that value here, and based on that the button width will be created. So these are the complete dynamic values, and it can be used to implement animations for any number of tabs. Now after the button width we need to create on TabBar layout constant, and it will be an event which will be layout change event type, and this needs to be imported from React Native. And here we can set the dimension. So the height will be e.nativeEvent layout.height, and similarly we can get the width also, and this on TabBar layout will be for this view on layout. So for this on layout we can call this on TabBar layout, and by this we can set the dimension. So as I have mentioned here, so these are the initial value, but these values will be set by this on TabBar layout, and by this we will get this button width, and this button width will determine the width of the background which will be animated. Now let me create an animated variable called tab position x, and it will be use shared value, and by default the value will be 0. Now let's create the animation style. So it will be animated style, use animated style, and here we can return transform translate x tab position x dot value. We will provide the value of it. So whatever value it is, we will provide the translate x property that value, and we can change the value of this tab position x by this on press. So this on press is passing here. So whenever we are pressing any button, any TabBar button, that time this on press function is getting triggered, and this is the perfect place to change the value of this tab position x. So that is the time when the circular background of the tab will be changed. So by changing this value we will change the position of that background. So this on press function is the perfect place to change the value. So here let's update the value with some effect, and that effect will be with spring, and I will provide the button with index, and will provide a duration for the animation which will be 1500 millisecond. So whatever the button width is, it will multiply with the index. So for the first one it will have the button width, for the second one the button width will be multiplied by 2, and so on, right? So for the first one it will be 0, then 1, then 2. So it will multiply by this, and that's how the x position value of this background will be changed. So now let me just create the background, the animated view, and then it will be clear to you. So it will be animated view, and this animated is from React Native reanimated. Now first let's provide some style here. First it will be position absolute, then let's provide a background color of this color, a border radius of 30, for margin horizontal I will use 12, for the height of it I will use dimensions height minus 15, for the width I will use dimensions width minus 25. So this is the background, And now here let me provide the animated style. Okay, so here it is having the animation, but background is not only for the active tab. Let me check it. Okay, it is spreading across the tab bar because I have used dimensions width here, but it would be the button width. Let me change that to button width. So now it is looking good, right? Now I need to change the color here. So if it is focused, then it will be white color. Here also it will be this. Okay, so now it is working perfectly well. So this is how we have implemented the animation. And here let me describe once again. This is how we are changing the value of this tab position, and by this tab position X we are changing the position of this background, right? So as the button width, so this button width means the width of this background. Okay, and if the index is changing, so whenever we are clicking on any tab, that time that is the current index, and that is being multiplied with the button width, and by that this tab position value is being changed. So that's why it is moving, and we are providing this duration for the animation. So that's why it is taking a little bit of time, and we have provided this with spring property. So that's why it is having some spring effect, some bouncy effect to this animation, right? And this value we have provided in this transform translate X. So that's how we are moving this background, right? So this is the animation, guys. I hope it is clear to you now, and it is also quite simple to implement if you understand it properly. So this is the tutorial, guys. I hope you have learned something new from this tutorial. If you do so, then hit the like button, subscribe to my channel for more tutorials like this, and let me know by commenting down below. If you have any kind of suggestions for me, then also let me know. And don't forget to share this tutorial with your friends and colleagues. And I will see you guys in my next tutorial. In the meantime, have a great day. Goodbye.